What's up, y'all? It's week 5 of college football already. Can you believe it? I can't. So, I guess to recap last week, I made my picks. I'm going to pull them up here and just recap them briefly and then go over a little bit of what I remember. I got to watch a good amount of games this past weekend as I was down in the dumps being sick. But last week, I went 6 wins to 2 losses for the spread picks, which is crazy. My 2 losses were I picked Oklahoma State minus 13.5, which obviously they lost. Today Mike Gundy got fired, so rest in peace. And then the only other one was Baylor minus 2.5, which Arizona State won by 3, I believe. Otherwise, Utah, I picked Texas Tech plus 3.5, TCU minus 6.5 against SMU, UCF minus 6.5 against North Carolina, which was a big blowout a bit. KU minus 13.5, that was another big one. BYU minus 6.5 against East Carolina. And then Colorado minus 13.5 against Wyoming. So, good start to the season. We'll see if I can keep that momentum going. But overall, on Friday, watched the Iowa game against whoever they were playing, which I forgot. It was entertaining game for the most part. And then Saturday, watched the Texas Tech-Utah game, which was a really good game. What do you think of the beer, by the way? It was a really good game. It was very entertaining in that they were just turning the ball over all the time. And then went out, came back, watched some game, I forgot what, and eventually watched the Illinois game, and then Illinois sucked, and then I forget which other game. There was another game on at Illinois, the Arizona State game, I believe. Arizona State Baylor we watched part of, but not the end. So, yeah, overall a good week. NFL, unfortunately, not a good week. I'm 0-3 in both leagues, and of course, my first overall pick in one league was CeeDee Lamb, and he is now deceased for like 4 weeks. So I really don't know what to do. And then I finally benched Mark Andrews because he hasn't been good, and he went off with like 27 points or something. So maybe this week will be my week, but sorry about that. But overall, I'm hoping that I am not in last this whole season. So I'm going to switch over to the desktop cam, and we're going to talk about some games. So first up, we got TCU versus Arizona State. And this seems like a bit of a toss-up. I'm a little surprised that Arizona is favored. Arizona State is favored in this. I know they're at home, so maybe it's a big home stadium spread. But I have TCU plus 2.5 for this. I think they can win it. And I'm still just big on TCU. Arizona State's like good, but TCU is, I think, one of the top dogs. Obviously not in the conference. They're in the middle of the rankings, but I think they're up there. I forgot who they played last week. I'm blanking. SMU. Okay. Yeah. So, first Big 12 matchup. Houston versus Oregon State, so a non-conference game. Houston, it's steamed up to 13.5 from when it opened at 10.5. I don't know much about Oregon State. I imagine Houston can cover this, but the last time I picked a team to cover a 13.5 point spread, which was Oklahoma State, they lost outright. But I would imagine that Houston's fine. I just don't know anything about them. Apparently they don't have a passing game, but I guess Oregon's played one more game, but still. For this, I'm going Houston minus 13.5 and just hoping. I know Oregon State's not very good. This one's a little surprising to me. I would think personally that Kansas would be more favorited than Cincinnati is. or more favorited over Cincinnati. They're only 4.5 point spread, and they're playing in Kansas. And I don't think Cincinnati's that good compared to Kansas. Again, I'm higher on Kansas. Hello? Why did my camera just shut off? Hold on. I think it died. One moment. Alright, I'm sorry about that. I don't really know what happened there with my camera. But, yeah, I would think that Kansas should be a heavier favorite in this than 4.5 points, so I'm taking 4.5 points for them. I think they can beat Cincinnati by at least 10, but maybe I'm missing something. This one's an interesting one because UCF is a good bad team, and Kansas State's just a bad team. I'm surprised Kansas State's favorited this much. I would think that Kansas State will win, but they've been falling off a cliff so much that I don't know what to expect from them at all. And I'm going to take the 6.5 points, Kansas State minus 6.5, but I'm not going to do that very confidently. I'd like to see them win this, but they haven't had a real win this season yet. So we'll see. This is one that I'm not confident on. Baylor, Oklahoma State. This is crazy. 3 touchdown spread, and I'm going to take the minus 20.5. Oklahoma State is a broken team, and they're probably even more broken now that their head coach got fired. Although I'd assume locker rooms are pretty tight, but you know, you got to be not a fan of Gundy for some reasons, I think. So who knows what the players think. But yeah, overall Baylor's good. Oklahoma State is probably the worst team in the conference right now. Utah versus West Virginia. Another one where, West Virginia is fairly decent. They won the backyard brawl. They've been better than I expected, I think. And Utah's a good team. They went in a shootout with Texas Tech for 3 quarters. So this has obviously steamed up a bit from whenever it opened, from 9.5 to 13.5. That's a huge move, crossing over that 12-point line. But yeah, I'm taking everybody's minus spread this week. I'm taking Utah minus 13.5. I just think there's no matchup this week that's really like 2 heavyweights going at it. So it's hard to tell. When it's the top versus the bottom of the Big 12, I think it's easier to predict that the favorite's going to win by more than the spread. This game I'll be going to, exciting 6 p.m. game, which I'm looking forward to. I'm doing minus 6.5, of course, for the Cyclones. It's nice that it's under that touchdown mark, but I don't know anything really about Arizona. I think the stat was the last time we played Arizona was 1968 or something, a long time ago. So yeah, I'm just excited. It's going to be a whiteout. Going to the game, hoping for a good one. I think it'll be fun. Team's coming off a bye, so they're all rested up. I think they're going to do good things. Hopefully, you can really just sling it and hit the passing game hard. And then last up is BYU and Colorado at 9:15. Another one where BYU is pretty good. Colorado's lower in the pack. And as always, I'm anti-Colorado. So I'm taking BYU minus 6.5. Pretty much anytime if you're going to give me a 6.5, I'm going to take that. If I believe in the favorite team, that under a touchdown keeps the hook, and I think it's feeling good. Plus, Colorado is whatever. They haven't really played too many people from what I remember. They lost to Houston, and then, yeah, not much else. So, go BYU. Late Night Mormons. Missouri is a team requested. I don't think much needs to be said about this game. UMass is one of the worst teams ever, so have a good exhibition game, I suppose. I'm not going to touch a spread of 43.5 points. So have a good weekend, Mizzou. Go watch Iowa State at 6 instead of your game at 6:30. Alabama versus Georgia. this would be a better game in years past, I believe, when Alabama was better. But I know very little about the SEC. I'm going to pick Georgia just because I know they seem like more of a powerhouse. It seems like Alabama's kind of fallen off a little bit since the Saban era has ended, and they haven't really gained footing of their own yet. I mean, they're still a good team, no doubt, but they're not the dynasty that they were before. So they're already missing expectations just by surviving. Yeah, I'm picking Georgia, but again, I'll be doing better things at this time. But that's probably one of the top matchups of the weekend, I imagine. This one is going to be really good too at the same exact time. I do wish I could watch this. Oregon and Penn State. I believe I do the Big Ten time zone thing where you pick the home team if the matchup contains teams traveling 2 or more time zones. So I'll be picking Penn State for this one. I think typically I would root for Oregon because I just like green better than blue. And it's been fun to watch Oregon the past few weeks. I don't know why these newses are up here, but I don't really know many of the players on either one of these teams. I guess your wide receiver is the same name as your quarterback. But yeah, I'm going to root for Oregon, but I'm going to probably pick -3.5 Penn State if I were to put money on it. These are expensive tickets. $400 is your cheapest one, but I think this is probably the matchup of the weekend for me and probably a lot of other non-SEC people. So yeah, that's what I got. I don't think there's much to talk about in fantasy. Again, I'm losing. The Bears won a game, and they won it in like pretty convincing fashion, which was a little bit surprising. I was happy to see that. There's hope. Caleb Williams is on track for a 4,000-yard passing season. He was not on track for the first 2 games. He was only under by a little bit, and now with the last game, he's looking good. He only needs 222 yards a game to reach 4,000 passing yards. So I think it's possible. Hopefully they can keep it up. I don't know what the schedule looks like going ahead, but yeah, I think overall it was a really good weekend of college football. Looks like this upcoming weekend will be a good weekend as well. So I'm out of focus since messing with the camera. But yeah, let me know what you think. What teams are you rooting for? Do you think Iowa State can beat Arizona? And how's your fantasy leagues doing? Surely they can't be worse than mine, at least. You might either be in the same boat or you're doing better. So congratulations to you either way. But yeah, let me know what you're up to this weekend, and take care. See you.